My name is Sarah, my channel is Naughty Gnome Crafts, and welcome to an edition of Friday Sews on Saturday. So normally in these videos I would tell you what have been working on for the week, but this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to need to open it up with a bit of chat because I've had some life changes that are going to switch up my sewing time and my filming schedule. So I want to talk to you about that first. But I will also be having a pattern review that I will talk about towards the end of the video after the chat has gotten out of the way. Before I get started, I am wearing the Fiber Mood Bell top. I made this back in June, I think, and I will link what I talk about this top in the cards, so you can watch that up above if you're interested. And yeah, let's just get started. So this was my first week back at work. I am now going to the office Monday through Thursday, and then I'm working from home on Fridays, and I still have Saturday and Sunday off. And it's definitely an adjustment. I basically had this plan in my head that I was gonna, go to work, do my 9 to 5, come home, and then, do like a block of sewing, kind of divide up the projects that I'm working on into chunks. And cut it out one day and do the interfacing the next day, and kind of do sewing in steady but little blocks of time. So that has totally not worked because I underestimated just how exhausted that I would be when I come home from work. I don't really know what the difference is from being in the office versus being at home, but I do think that I have more meetings. I am actually just busy right now. It's the beginning of the fall semester, so I just have more tasks to do. But other than that, there's just something about being in the office all day that when I come home, I'm just completely sapped of all my energy and I'm just tired. So I've been trying every day this week to do my original plan of, little bits of sewing at a time, like an hour a day or something. And it just hasn't been working. I am currently working on a collab project with Madi of Madi Sews, and I can't tell you too much about it other than that's a little bit more of a complex project. It's not a simple, easy project. And on Wednesday, I was working on the sewing and, I'd gotten 3 steps into the project, and I realized that I'd made a mistake 3 steps before. And that's how I know that I'm just too tired to sew when I come home from work, because anybody can make a mistake, that's not a big deal. But when you don't even notice the mistake until it's 3 steps later and it's too late to go back and fix it, that's when you know that you shouldn't be sewing. So now I'm kind of thinking of reconfiguring that I'm only going to sew on the weekends when I'm at home. And so obviously that will mean that I have way less sewing time. And also the weekends is when I have time to film. And so I'm going to have to cut back, I think, to only doing 2 videos a week. I'm kind of planning. And so that means that I will be posting my Friday Sews on Saturdays. Hopefully that works for you guys. And I still plan to talk about what I had worked on during the week and my upcoming plans for the next week and so on and so forth. And then it's really too bad that I have to cut back to 2 videos because I just have so many ideas for videos that are brimming in my head, and I don't think I'm going to have time to film them. But that's just what I'm going to have to do until I adjust. I've definitely found that rather than sewing, I've been knitting more, and I've come back to spinning my own yarn. I've been spinning more because both of those things require less mental bandwidth. When I come home from work, it's just easier for me to do them than it is to sew. So that's how my life is changing at the moment, and I have just a little bit more chatter, and then I promise we'll get to the content of the video. So prior to this week, I had been on vacation, visiting family for a week, and it was supposed to be 10 days, but my flight out to the Midwest ended up getting canceled, so I couldn't get another flight for 3 days, and so I had an extra 3 days at home. And I continued taking my social media break because I just figured that I needed it. But I had a little bit of extra time at home that I wasn't expecting. So I ended up purchasing a pattern from Pattern Emporium called the Keep It Simple Babe Tee. And in those 3 extra days, I actually sewed up 4 versions. So that is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a pattern review of that t-shirt pattern, and I'll tell you what I think of it. So if you've been watching my previous videos, then you might know that I've been on the hunt for my perfect t-shirt pattern. And the reason that I chose the Keep It Simple Babe tee I wish that it had a shorter name, but what are you gonna do? Is because it has so many options. I looked at a few other things like the Grain Line Lark, or there's Hey June Handmade has one that's pretty popular, but I chose the pattern Emporium one because it had the most sleeve and neckline options in one pattern, and it also had included a square neckline, and I really wanted to try the square neckline. So I purchased that pattern. I believe the cost was $11 in USD, so American dollars. And I actually think that that price is incredibly low for all of the options that you get. So I will be inserting a normal, like the line drawings and the size chart, so you can see for yourself just how many options there are in this pattern. It's really incredible. And I made, as I said, 4 t-shirts. So the first version that I made, actually before I get into that, I'll just say that for all 4 of my t-shirts, I made an Australian size 8. And I also, all of them are the short length. I think it comes in a short length and a long length. And after I tried the first one, I was thinking to myself, I'm never gonna want the long length because I don't like tunic style tops. So I just went ahead and cut off my pattern at the short line, and I made all of my t-shirts the same length. So, all right, so the first version, I wanted to just use some leftover fabric just in case, you know, I didn't have the right size or whatever, just to try it out, and I'm not like cutting into like my precious fabric. So I used a remnant that I had left over from another t-shirt. I don't even know exactly what this is. I've had it in my stash for so long. I think it's some sort of rayon-y type jersey, whether it's rayon or bamboo or tencel. I don't know, but it's some sort of drapey jersey in this like black and white microstripe. And for this first version, so there's a high square neck and a low square neck, and I made the low square neck, and then I did the elbow length sleeves. And so the pattern describes this as a semi-fitted t-shirt, and I would say that that description is very accurate because I found it to be the perfect sort of body skimming but not body hugging type of fit. And that's why I think this pattern is so versatile, because with all of the different neckline and sleeve options, there's just a lot that you can do with it, and you still have that perfect, easy, not too tight fit of a t-shirt. So I did use my cover stitch for the hems and to sew around the neckband. And the only thing about this version is that I found that I had just cut out the original elbow sleeve without doing any alterations. And when I tried it on, it was a little bit too long. So I ended up cutting 2 inches off of the hem on this version. And then I went back and actually shortened the pattern by 2 inches for the next versions that I'm going to show you in a minute. But yeah, so this t-shirt is very comfortable. Because it is a drapey jersey, the neckline is quite low. I don't really mind that, but I do have to be a little bit mindful about what undergarments that I'm wearing with it. I did take this t-shirt with me on vacation, and I wore it a couple of times, and it was great, wonderful for travel. Oh, I do also want to say, I'm sorry, I had mentioned in another video that I would be willing to film a video of what I took on my vacation, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because of all the reasons I talked about, and I won't rehash in the beginning. And so I think what I'm going to do instead is try to just take a flat lay and post it to Instagram. So if you want to see what I brought on vacation, like follow me on Instagram. My handle is Naughty Gnome, and you can find it there. So anyway, so this was my first version, and I had about a yard of this fabric, and I used up pretty much all of it. I want to say that the pattern calls for slightly over a yard, but you know, depending on how wide your fabric is and what size you're making, you might be able to play around with that. I can't really speak to the instructions on this version because I didn't look at them. For a simple t-shirt, mostly I don't need to look at the instructions, but I will talk about the instructions a little bit more in another version. So that was the first one that I made. The second version that I made, I was ready to cut into some pretty fabric. So I had this cotton spandex jersey that I got from Style Maker Fabrics back in the spring, and I had 1 yard of this, and I love this print. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And for this version, I did the same neckline. So I did the low square neck, but this time I did the cap sleeve. And because this is a cotton jersey and the other one was a more drapey jersey, this one fits a little bit more closely to the body, and the neckline is not quite as deep. So I actually really liked that I made so many different versions of this because you can kind of see how it works in different fabrics. I really like the fit of this one. I'm not quite sure if I love the cap sleeve. I think it's okay, but I think I like the elbow sleeve a little better. This one, I don't know why really, but I think I'm just more likely to wear this one completely tucked in, maybe because it is a little bit of a tighter fit than the other one. The other one, I'm more likely to do like a half tuck and just kind of leave the drapiness like kind of out at the sides. This one, I think I pretty much always wear it tucked in. But I really like this version as well. And I think after I finished it, I probably tried it on and then wore it for the rest of the day because I just really liked it. So I'm so happy to have made up this beautiful fabric. So one of the reasons that I wanted to make a bunch of t-shirts, even though I have quite a few ready to wear and ones that I'd made previously in my wardrobe, is because I don't have a lot of pattern t-shirts. Most of my t-shirts are either solid or stripe. And so I just really liked being able to use some prints and have some more interesting, but still very simple t-shirts in my wardrobe. So for the third version, I was ready to tackle a slightly different neckline. Oh, one thing I wanted to say about the pattern is it's really cleverly built so that you have more than one neckline built into the body. And so the one that I ended up printing and cutting out had the high square neck, the low square neck, and the V-neck all in one pattern. And so you can just kind of cut around all of the necklines and then just trace the one that you're actually using. And I found that incredibly handy that you don't have to print out a separate pattern piece for every single neckline because it's not very efficient. So I do like that, and I think that they probably group other patterns together as well. But I just haven't tried it yet because I only printed out that one version. So I wanted to try the V-neck, and this is where the instructions come in, because I have made V-neck t-shirts before, but I think I've only done the ones that have the mitered corner in the center. I've never done the version that does the overlap. So I did consult the instructions for this overlapped V, and I will say that they were very clear. The instructions are photographs, which normally I don't like. I prefer illustrated instructions, but these photographed instructions were very good because the designer used like very high contrast thread and fabric. Because the thing that I don't like about photographs is like sometimes if the fabric's busy or they don't use contrasting thread, it's hard to see what's going on. But I will say that the pattern designer for Pattern Emporium did a really good job in terms of making the photographs really clear so you can see what you're doing. And I think that this neckband went in really well, and I'm very proud of how it looks. So this is another cotton spandex jersey. I think it might be the same substrate as the floral one. And for this version, as I said, I did the V-neck and then I did the elbow length sleeve, and this is the one that I shortened by 2 inches before I cut it out. And this fabric is a leopard print, but it has kind of like a illusion sort of flowers in it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just thought the print was really cool. And yeah, I really like the V on this. I think that it's nice and open, but it's not too deep. Again, it doesn't show your bra, and I just think it's a really pretty, graceful neckline. I actually think I prefer this one to the square neck, although I do like the square neck, and I definitely will make more of these in the future. So for my final version, I did a little pattern hack. Normally I don't like doing pattern hacks because I'm just lazy and I'd rather just pay somebody else to do it for me, but this was a super, super easy hack. So I made another V-neck version, this time using a cotton modal jersey in camel that I got from StyleMaker Fabrics, and the leopard was also from StyleMaker, so everything was from StyleMaker except for the first one, which was a remnant that I don't know where I got it from anymore. So there was this camel color. Again, I did the V-neck neckline, and then I did the short sleeve, and then for the hack I added a 5-inch wide strip that I measured the edge of the short sleeve and then multiplied that by 1.5, and then I got the length of my ruffle. So I cut 2 of those and then just gathered it into the short sleeve, and I left the hems raw. So this edge here is raw, and then the edge at the bottom is also raw. And admittedly, part of that is laziness because I didn't feel like switching out the thread in my cover stitch. But also it was kind of intentional because I've definitely seen some ready to wear t-shirts that have like a ruffle in it with the raw hem, and I just think that that sort of adds a little bit of an edge to what would otherwise be like a very sweet detail with the ruffle. So I just like that combination of having the ruffle with a raw edge. So I did pretty much do it on purpose, but also some of it was laziness that I didn't want to get out my cover stitch or change the thread in my cover stitch. So the neckband is not cover stitched. But yeah, this hack was super easy to execute, and I think that it looks really cute. Because this is a plain solid color, I do think that the ruffle adds like a nice little detail. It kind of elevates it from being just a super plain t-shirt, that it has like a basic with a bit of flair to it. And that was my final version of the Keep It Simple Babe tee. So I have not even scratched the surface of all of the options that are with this t-shirt. I definitely will revisit it sometime when it gets colder and do some long sleeve versions. I definitely want to, I basically want to try all of the necklines, but I'd like to do some maybe turtleneck versions for winter, definitely some crew necks. Yeah, I just think that it is a wonderful, versatile pattern, and it's definitely worth the money if you are interested in finding your perfect t-shirt pattern. I don't think that I'm not going to say like I'll never ever use another t-shirt pattern, because I'm always looking to try new things. And like, you know, obviously if you want more of a boxy tee or a super like close fitting tee, this wouldn't really be the right one. But for your average everyday t-shirt, I think that it is a wonderful pattern. And let me know in the comments which version was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you next time.